At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Bradford, it's Green. He's got to make this count. It's Green. It's 1-1. You'll see a somersault now. You'll get a double. City till I die. City till I die. I know I am. I'm sure I'm Bradford City till I die. Oh, Bradford City till I die. Bradford's made our day, and hey, it's gonna stay. The boys have brought us glory days.
Right, wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Welcome to the Bradford City vs Barnsley EFL Trophy pre-match chat and other stuff. Right, Owen, if you want to start us off, bud.
John.
Yeah, I can hear you, mate.
Oh. Are you off to the game tomorrow?
I am off to the game tomorrow, mate. Are you going?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go down.
And do you think we'll win, lose? What do you think?
Sure. It's a tough one because we've both got nothing to play for.
Yeah, so we're currently both on 6 points at minute, goal difference of 4. So basically, we could get battered and still go up.
Well, that's the thing. We're already qualified, aren't we? And so are they. It's more for a battle of who finishes top, but does it really matter?
No, it don't matter. It's a meaningless game. But if we win, we win. We go top of the group, and we'll probably get a team who's finished second in the other leagues or other divisions.
Is that how it works then?
Yeah. So whoever finishes top, I think. So if Bradford finish top, they'll end up playing somebody in, I don't know, they could play Stockport, for example, who finished second.
Right. Are they all the last games tomorrow?
Yes.
Like when's that the draw and that for knockout?
So Burton are playing Mansfield, Charlton, Sutton, MK Dons, Northampton, Swindon, Exeter, Bradford, Barnsley, Colchester, Peterborough, Accrington, Stanley, Nottingham Forest, Academy, Crewe, Newcastle, Academy. Yep, quite a few games on tomorrow, bud.
So, but are they like all the last games?
Yes.
I don't know.
They play 4 games in the leagues.
It's 3 games. The actual draw.
So is it someone's like Diane, love?
It's 3 games that we play each.
Yeah, so everyone should play 4 games, shouldn't they?
No, 3, because there's only 4 teams in the cup in the league.
I can't. Don't need to borrow your abacus again.
I know. Yeah, because you can borrow me abacus.
Yeah, I need to borrow your abacus. I can't read all right. So yeah, I need that. Yeah, you're right. My fault. Yeah, everyone plays 3 games. It's been one of them days today.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, I do work, Johnny.
No, I've been practicing my HGV today.
Been what, sorry?
LGV, driving big wagons, been practicing that. Been a long day.
Oh, nice one. Doing donuts tonight in car park.
Yeah, donuts in car park. Right, I'm just going to remove you a minute, Owen. We're going to move on to other people. So, Diane and Stan, what's your thoughts on Bradford City versus Barnsley?
I think we're going to win them tomorrow, definitely, because we, like you say, we do want to win, get to the top at league. I think we'll beat them.
And do you think
it depends who plays?
Do you think your number 1 player will play tomorrow, or do you reckon he'll be benched?
I think he'll be benched. I think he'll be calling again. It's good job I know who you were talking about.
Yep, your number 1 player.
My number 1 man.
What about you, Stan?
Yeah, I think it'll depend on which side he puts out and then what his criteria is going to be for that side. So is he going to kind of have like a mix of first teamers with some fringe players, or is he going to put more fringe players in to kind of get a view of, basically get a look in games? Because, as being said, training's one thing, but I think he's learned more in playing 2 games than he has in any training session. So, one thing, but I think he's learned more in playing 2 games than he has. So it's kind of, I would say, I don't know, based on sort of what team he puts out and the reason for that team.
And have you? So looking at a couple of comments we've had Steve pop in. I think he has to go with fringe players to see what they can do. And then Crypto Bantam. Anyone interested in throwing tennis balls when even if it's supposed to be happening, security are aware, so stick them down your front of your pants. Oh, God. It's going to be one of them days today, I can feel it.
Yeah.
So, moving on to, because I know the game's meaningless tomorrow, we've obviously qualified. Diane, can you turn your telly down a bit for us, please, love?
Sorry! What's it? I always turn it on. Right, that's better. It's on mute.
Right, you been watching Home and Away again or something on Neighbours?
No, one show.
Rubbish show, that. Rubbish show. Right, so we're going to move on to basically any other stuff at Bradford City. So, anyone else want to speak apart from Owen about anything what's happening at Bradford City currently? You got any thoughts, Stan, on any other thing what's happening at Bradford City?
I think it was pretty much said last night on the space, wasn't it? For those that were on that or want to listen to that, I think, I'm kind of, I mean, everyone's got a right to protest, but I'm not so sure about throwing balls onto the pitch. But I in a nutshell, no, because I think, like I say, I think it's kind of, there was a very long space last night, and pretty much was said last night. So apologies if that's kind of, I don't think there's anywhere that I'm too bothered about listening to my opinion on it, but
Miss Kelly, I know you've got loads to say on that. You've been chomping at the bit.
I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. Just throw it. I mean, are people just going to walk up to the game armed with full bags of tennis balls? Do you know what I mean? Morrison's bags. For God's sake, I just think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. It's either one person's going to do it and get banned, or multiple people.
What is it actually going to achieve? I don't think it's going to achieve anything.
So, Chris, if you fancy speaking, have you got any thoughts on the game or the other Bradford City related stuff? Are you there, Chris?
Johnny, can I just let you know, one of my good friends, Graham Doherty, has joined. He's listening at the moment. He's actually a Barnsley fan, one of my good friends. So it'd be nice to get his take on, the game about being a Barnsley fan, just to see what.
Shut up, Diane, you twat.
And I know Barnsley have sort of been through a rough time lately too.
Oh, one of them days today. We've got a couple of people who fancy being idiots. Steve, have you got any thoughts on anything what's happening at Bradford City currently?
I'm going to do football stuff tonight, Johnny, rather than Bradford Independent fans, because I've been speaking about that tons, and I'd like a night off of it. But I wanted to see what everybody thought about what we'll do in this next transfer window, because I think it's probably one of the most critical transfer windows we've had in a many, many year. And I think definitely we need another striker. I think that's kind of written. But I wonder what everybody else thought about kind of what our needs are right now. I think Gilead's stepped up, Smallwood's stepped up, but I wonder if he's going to kind of go down this winger route, and whether we look to acquire new wingers. I don't know. I just thought I'd see what everybody else thought, because I do think that this could be his last chance saloon for Stephen Gent, because I think he's had 2 bad transfer windows in a row, and I think his first transfer window was solid, but I think I read the other day somebody commented said, "Oh, he ran out of stuff at Middlesbrough, so then he literally was in the shit after that." But I just wonder what everybody else thought.
So I went on Radio Leeds earlier, and I said this. I know it's been brought up in spaces in the past about like Harry Lewis. He could have a really bad game, and he has got no competition to replace him. Same with Andy Cook. I know we've got injuries, but then Andy Cook could have a rubbish game and he still will get picked for the next game.
I think that's a really fair point, because I think that when you start to look at the positions that don't really have any competition to them, we've seen dip in performances. And I do think every player needs competition for the place. Otherwise, they become a little bit complacent. I think Harry Lewis has had a drop in confidence. Personally, I think that he was dealing with some of the shots he's had against him last year quite easily, and then this year he's had a couple of fumbles, couple of kind of long distance shots that he's not been able to deal with. Can't remember the game where it was like 30-yard crack at goal free kick. And he was looking through it and he just couldn't stop it. Didn't deal with it well. So I think that that's probably right about another keeper as well, as somebody that can kind of keep him on his toes and stuff.
Yeah. So looking at the League 2 table currently, I know we've just moving on to it for a minute. How many goals have we conceded? Goal difference. So goal difference, we're -7. Jesus Christ. Yeah, goal difference of -7, and we've lost 8 games.
Did I read somewhere, Johnny, that we're about 10 points behind where we were at this point last season or something as well?
Yeah, I saw that as well somewhere. I can't remember where I saw it.
So it just goes to show you that the start we've had has not been ideal, and we've dropped points against lower end teams as well. I think somebody said that we're the gift that keeps on giving, I read as well elsewhere. We just don't seem to be able to cope very well against kind of teams who are struggling themselves at this point. But I say that, I think that's been like that for a little while.
Yeah, we need something, don't we? And it's like, I don't know where it's coming from with the club. I don't know if it's Ryan Sparks, Roop, the players, the motivation. It's something at the club, in it, and it's not have a good atmosphere at the club at the minute.
Johnny, if I can jump in and kind of go back to Steve's point, because I think that's he's kind of, I think, great that we're actually talking about the football in terms of what we think either needs to happen or what will happen. I think you're right about the transfer window. It all really does depend on what ideas he's got himself, Alexander. Whether he has particular players in mind, and he'll take a view as to which players that we have currently that fit into his mould, his way of thinking, or his kind of concept. Because it's all right saying we'll let these players go. I mean, but who's going to take some of these players? Who's going to take them on loan? Who's going to sign them as permanents? So you kind of have to think of that in the mix in terms of like how much you get rid of. I think somebody said on a space last night that Jake Young wants to come back, and I mean that's good, because whatever has happened between him and Mark Hughes, and we'll probably never get to the bottom of it. However, it was never between the fans and Jake Young. I think it's different with Owen Doyle, because the fans got on his back, and I don't think he liked the club, whereas I don't think that's the case with Jake Young. So, and we do have a bloated squad. I think there are obvious people that probably wouldn't or shouldn't get a game in most people's opinion. The likes of Ash Taylor, but we kind of heavy in midfield. We've got Kev McDonald, we've got, like the centre mid, we've got Kev McDonald, we've got Pato, we've got obviously Gilly and Smallwood, and we've got Ryan East to come back. Now, is it a case of, because he's got like between now and January to kind of get an idea of who he wants to keep in, but also with the players coming back, there's that little conundrum of how long does he give those before he has an opinion on those players. So it's a tough one for Alexander, because unless, I mean, I'll admit I don't know what his kind of style has been prior to this. I know he was manager at Scunny when we were in League One challenging for the Championship. So, I would hope between now and the next 2 or 3 games, and that's why probably tomorrow is important, that he kind of gets to see combinations in terms of, like, hopefully he'll be able to assess very quickly a core of players that he thinks, right, okay, this is the core that I want. And it might be a case of, well, actually, when we get the loan lads back in, we may be okay. And the case of, like, if he can move anyone on that he would like to move on, you don't know at what point Oliver's going to come back fitness wise. He's not going to come back very quickly. He's going to be, hopefully for his sake, introduced 10 minutes, 15 minutes and build that up. So that's going to be a slow process. And obviously it's been talked about, hasn't it, in terms of, like, giving Cookie and Harry Lewis a rest, in terms of, like, it's more a case of taking them out of the firing line and just, between now and then, if like, say, for example, we've got somebody like Kieran Kelly and say Platt are back middle 2 of those, then it's a case of, like, well, it might be that the defence might settle down. I don't feel... Well, we haven't really had a settled defence, have we? Apart from Brad and Rides. But in that middle 2, and at the start of the season, the middle combination that basically made us one of the best defences in the league last year. We were conceded, one of the fewest amount of goals, and that was down to all the back 4. Last season you had Stubbs, you had Roms, and you had Platt, and you had any combination of those 3, like 2 out of those 3, did a good job for us, as well as Harry. So yeah, I think unless he kind of sees it in training, and that gives him a good idea as well, that he's thinking, well, that player's not my sort of player, then he might start planning. But I think it'll be very much, it might be that unless he's got a completely different philosophy to what we've done over the last year and a half, I would suspect that he probably needs to just find the actual combinations that we've got within this squad. Because, like I say, it's not Championship Manager. It's not like you get like on a game and you get an email from such and such a chairman, and then you negotiate. These are people. These are players. They're employed by Bradford City. It's their job, and so they might not want to go. So it's a big job, but it's also a big set of plates he's got to spin, and it's going to be very interesting to actually see what it does. I hope personally that for whatever it is, he finds the right formula, and then we move forward. But yeah, very interesting point to bring up, Steve.
Owen, have you got any thoughts?
Yeah, but what on Alexander?
On anything, or Stan's points, or anything, or what Stan said?
On the Alexander point, it's one of them, and it's early doors, but what cards have you really been dealt with here? You know what I mean? It's like a lot of people criticising the squad and that, but like you look at that second half on Saturday, and two of them players in that second half didn't start the second half. You know what I mean? After the subs were, they were nine. I think 9 of them were playing for the team last year. I think they were only Smith and Richards that were new. Smith and Richards who were new, I think.
So with the team, what do you think has gone wrong? Do you think it's just like motivation, or do you think they can't be bothered?
Do you know what it is, right? I don't want to criticise RG, Mr. Graham, but why is he setting up in this 4-4-2?
Yeah, I know we had a discussion on stuff yesterday about 4-4-2. I think a couple of people say, no, it's like a dinosaur formation, 4-4-2. People hate it or love it. But like when we were under Hughes, he was playing 3, whatever formation he was playing, and then people were crying out for 4-4-2. I think 4-4-2 would work with wingers. It's just we need the players for that positions.
Well, we've actually got wingers, but we just like to play Jamie Walker. Who, what the hell? Like he's not a winger. I don't care what anyone says. He's not a winger. Like he's a number 10 on a good day, and he's still not fucking good at that. But that's besides the point. We've got likes of Chapman and Tulloch on bench, and they are wingers.
Bobby as well.
Yeah,
to be fair to Graham Alexander, he did come out after the game, didn't he? He said that he has to take the blame because he set up wrong.
Well, to be honest, mate, I don't watch interviews anymore because when I go to games, I'm fucking just sick and tired of excuses, to be honest with you. It's just like, I've paid all this money to get down, and, like MK runs away, I spent all that money to go and to get annihilated. I know this is a different thing, but it's like I don't want to listen to what the players have got to say about gaffers. It's like, fuck me, man.
So with the results, Owen,
Yes.
do you think, or what's your thinking? Do you think you're going to buy a season ticket next season? Or do you think you're just going to be like, yeah, screw it, I'll stay at home and watch it? Kind of.
No, to be honest, man, we could go down. I'd get a season ticket, but that's just me and my blind faith. I just kind of follow through thick and thin, if I'm honest. Like, I'm still fucking yet to miss a game this season. I'll probably try still go every single one, if I'm honest.
Yeah, so, it's like with everything like that, the club is... It's like ever since lockdown, I tried to get to most games. I'm even going to Forest Green on a Tuesday night. Stuff improves and stuff. Have you got anything you want to say, Callie, love?
Yeah, after the game on Saturday, and at the end, obviously the players started coming towards the fans, and I've been going to Bradford City now for 50 years, and in all my years, I've never stood there and not clapped them. I didn't know. I was stood there thinking, well, I really don't know what to do here. I don't want to clap them, but I don't feel like I'm a proper fan if I do clap them. And it was horrible. Just a horrible situation to be in, and I've never felt like that ever. I mean, I'm not one of these people that leave at half time. I always stay till the end, even if it's a bad game. Apart from once, which was a Blackpool game, which we know about, Johnny. That's the only, in 50 years, that's the only game I've left. But yeah, it's just, I just wish we could just get back. I've watched a game tonight on my TikTok when we played Leicester and we beat Leicester 3-1 in the Premiership. With Dean Staunton scoring, and the team just looked so alive and kicking and fighting, and that's what we're missing. And as a Bradford, I mean, I know we all feel the same. It's just so depressing at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. Have you come down from your celebrity status yet, Callie, being shown live on national telly on Sky Sports? Look, you came a meme, didn't you? Like you're having a fallout with Lenny.
Yeah, I did. But yeah, you have to pay to speak to me nowadays.
Does your friend Graham want to say anything about Barnsley or anything?
Do you want to let us know, Graham, about
Graham Alexander.
No, he's a Barnsley supporter.
I'll invite you to speak, Graham, if you want to.
Has he got Paul Callan?
I don't know. You'll have to ask him.
Oh, I just know.
So I've sent you an invite, Graham. If you just want to tell us, I know moving back, but just see about how Barnsley are getting on these days.
Wait, he's a Man City fan.
No, his home team is Barnsley.
Ah.
Okay. So I've sent you a request, Graham, if you do want to speak. But if you don't, we'll move on. So, just having a look on the BCSC hashtag. The man in the seat, 67. I appreciate the motion and running high, but throwing tennis balls onto the pitch is not a great idea. We all want a new ownership, so do your protest outside the stadium, but once you get through the turnstiles, get behind the boys. They need us. We want our club back. Oh, he's requested. Good lad. You okay there, Graham?
Tomorrow. Like, yeah, what it is with me TikTok, because I supported John Stones from when he was a kid, and I wanted to go see him, and my dad said, look, when Barnsley don't play, go up and watch him. And like, that's the story. Like, because I like to go watch John Stones, so I've seen him when he was a kid. So I've been watching Barnsley 23 years, and I've done literally nearly 80 grams. Like, but I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Like, but just got to see what we're going to do, because we didn't play Saturday. Like, with international call-ups, but we're both going through. I'm just wondering if he's going to play a strong side to get momentum going back, or if he's going to play a young lad side, to keep them going, like, and save main ones for Saturday. It's a bit of a tricky situation, but main thing is we're both through, that's thing. So I've just got to see what he puts out tomorrow. But after last couple of games, like in league, it's not been best with managers. Sometimes we've had good games, and some games we've been absolutely awful. Like, I went to Derby, and it was just absolutely awful. After last year, when we got to Wembley, and I cried at Wembley. I just cried so much. And then to this season, it's a bit different, but it's new manager. But some Barnsley fans are sticking with him, some are not, with it being different this year. So it's an hard situation.
So currently you're 6th in League One. So if he does play a strong team tomorrow, what players do we need to look out for? Who's like your best player and who's just basically bossing it?
Best players is a young lad called Jarlo. He's an 18-year-old lad. He's like centre striker, small lad. Like, he's got like dreadlocks like that. He's a good. Luke O'Connell, he's a good midfielder. He's had time off with injury, but once he gets going, he's got quick ability. Like, and if do play him as well, Aidan Marsh. I went to Horsham last week, and seeing Aidan Marsh and come back, and Will Connell switching it did help Barnsley a lot better this time, and it's been a massive, great thing. So, main thing, Luke O'Connell, Aidan Marsh, if he starts them, I think he might do, and Jarlo, the striker. He's been very, very quick. He's only 18, but he looks promising. After last JPT, he looked like the part, you know what I mean? And I think in a year or so, I think he might be a good first-team player.
It looks like you've got a former Bradford City player playing for you as well. Devante Cole.
Yeah, Devante Cole. Yeah, he's getting that ability, but getting goals in. Like, sometimes he has bad games, but every player does. No, you look at Messi, Ronaldo, and Haaland. They have bad games. You're not going to get it every time, but he does play well. He's found his feet and he's got his them goals. You know what I mean? But when he don't play, it's a bit of a thing. Who's going to score his goals? So we've not had much this year, and it's not thing. Like, I think he's a good player. Like, gets ability, passing, and when he's on form, he can be a fantastic player.
Because looking at your stats, He's currently your top goal scorer in 11. He's absolutely bossing it. Then you've got Callum Styles on 3, Barry Cotter on 2, John McAtee 2, Jonathan Russell 2, and then you've just got basically a few players on 1.
Yeah, that's the thing though. He's been main key player, but I think with January, if we don't keep him, Devante Cole, I reckon we could be 50-50 if we go up or not, because I'm not too sure, because when we had Michael Duff, I had that confidence a bit more, because we played fantastic. If we had a bad game, we'd progress, but this year, some games have been not best, because we've always sold top players. We've had players, and we've never said, look, why can't we keep them? Why can't we just say no? But we've let them go, and then signed players that are not ready in our team, and it's not worked out sometimes at best. We've let some fantastic players go. And with Devante Cole, for me, we need somebody that can score goals alongside him, that can play well, but sometimes it's not worked out. But I think with Luke O'Connell coming back in, I think it might work, but there's January coming up. Who knows what happens?
So looking at your team, have you got any weaknesses in your team? Have you got any is your team scared of, I don't know, long balls or anything like that? Or where do you normally concede your goals from?
Mainly defence area, long balls sometimes when it goes over. So when we played Ocean 3, we drew 3-3 at our ground, they were lumping it, and then defence weren't catching up a bit, and defence lets us down. We're not keeping up with it, so long balls are not best things sometimes. But when defence goes back, it don't seem to cope sometimes. So sometimes when we're that not best, we seem to concede.
Okay. Has anyone else, they've got anything they want to add about and I'm going back again, the Barnes, keep going back, it's like watching Bradford City. Anyone else want to chip in anything about the game tomorrow before we move on again and leave that?
I have a question to the Barnsley fan.
Oh, no.
Sorry, Owen, were you...
No, go ahead, son, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Barnsley did quite... I'm trying to remember last year. Barnsley did quite well last year, didn't they? Did the playoffs? Have they had a hangover from last season, from the playoffs, missing out?
I think it was, because we were speculation Michael Duff being picked up and all that, but some said, he was greedy to take money, but this day and age, if you're going to triple your wage, you're going to take it. It's hard, because I think Michael Duff was on certain wage, but he did well, and we got that players, stability, that progression, and I think we it being Sheffield Wednesday, local rivals, it hit him hard, and Luke O'Connell had a breakdown because he missed a chance and it broke him, and we got so far, and what it was, we went down to 10 men for 70 minutes. We fought so hard. I was proud of lads, to go down 10 men for 70 minutes, and we held them. Legs had just gone, and I think it hit them hard, because they tried so hard, but I was so proud of them. And I think with Michael Duff going, we had to get another manager in, and it's new manager's statistics. So if we're going from one manager out highs to another, it's a big, massive change for him. So it's whatever manager's style Michael Duff had, we've had to change, and quickly. And I think it's just, I do have to agree, I think it was hangover at Wembley that affected them, and I want to try and bounce back, but I think some games are not there for it.
Yeah, interesting. I do genuinely think it happens to a lot of clubs when they get so far, and it is difficult to get over. I think last season in League Two, Northampton, although they didn't get, but they got. I think they lost out in the semi-finals last year, and there's a whole kind of reset that needs to happen, and then things happen where you lose players because obviously they were on the promise of maybe playing in a high league, etc. So yeah, I'm just interested from a Barnsley perspective, whether it's similar to what we've had this year.
Yeah, that's in a similar perspective, but if we don't go up this year, I think a lot of players will be gone. I think a lot of heads will turn, because some fans after Derby game will call him top manager, but I'm still 50-50 with him. After last season, fans are expected hoping for a club like Barnsley, hoping to try and bounce back, but he just not fully worked out yet, and I think some fans are not overconfident, but I'm hoping Papa John's trophy, whatever it's called now, change it that many times. I hope it progresses, but one of the things I like to say, though, I said to Barnsley fans, because it's Papa John's, when it worked first game, they were saying, should get rid of it, concentrate on league. I was thinking, with FA Cup and Carabao Cup, it's usually top Premier League sides that win it, and I'm thinking, what competition it is, you go for to win it. That's what I say. Keep going to end. And I think no matter which competition, just you enter it to win it, not just to kick about. And I think that's what I think.
Because we've
Owen was going to jump in with something there.
Owen?
Yeah, sorry I got off that point a bit, lads, but I just want to know what our team might look like tomorrow.
I think it'll probably go for a fringe, I reckon, and my money's on probably Doyle in net. Ash Taylor, if we play Ash Taylor, they're going to kick his ass, because he's not been very good recently, but he'll probably play a lot of fringe players just to see how they play, and if they play naff, then they'll be probably gone in January.
I think it's a bit harsh that Taylor's been ass. I won't call just him out. I think Stubbs has been as bad recently.
Pair of them, mate. Taylor and Stubbs, it's...
I think Stubbs has got a bit of a free pass, if I'm honest. I've had people, don't support Bradford, but they watched game on Saturday because it were on Sky, and they've come up to me and they've said, that 15 at back just looks like he's running custard. And I'm like, I know, he was one of his best players last year, but I don't know what's happened to him.
I will agree that he's not been the same this year, but there were probably a few games. Do you know what? If you look back in your mind's eye to Rochdale away, there were moments in that where maybe his form dipped, and I think probably a little bit with Harry as well, where there were little signs, and it could be just you've got to the end of the season and but he's not, and these people have set the standards. They've set their own bar, which is fairly high. So, any kind of constructive criticism to any player is valid if it's constructive criticism, and I think that's fair. That's a fair comment. Is that I don't think he's been anywhere near as good as he was last season, and probably at fault for some of the goals as well. On top of Harry's mistakes, you've had the middle two, the unsettled middle two as well. I'll add with regards to kind of a lot of the goals have come from either being sort of passed in between. The touches. If you remember the touch, was it Taylor passing? There's a couple of incidents in a few games where either Taylor and or Stubbs have had a really bad touch, which has led to basically letting somebody in, or a simple pass that should not be anywhere near kind of going astray, but it has done, and we've let players in. So I agree on the Stubbs thing. I think, for me, give Platt and Kelly a chance. I don't know. That's down to Alexander to sort of see what he thinks and see how the trains, etc. But let's hope he finds a formula for that.
So the team, what played Notts County, Lewis, Richardson, Stubbs, Taylor, Halliday, Poynton, Gilead, Smallwood, Walker, Cook and Smith. So when...
Johnny, I think he's got to start Platt and Stubbs tomorrow. Just try and raise some confidence in Stubbs and get them getting an understanding again, because I don't think that Taylor's the answer. I think put Platt alongside there, you're a lot more solid.
100% agree on that, yeah, because Taylor, I know I've been on here and past podcasts and spaces been berating Taylor. Tell me if I'm wrong what I'm saying, guys, but he's like, I know we got him from Kilmarnock or whatever it's called in Scotland, but he's not good enough for league. I think he's had like one good game since I've watched him, but he hasn't seemed to improve. I don't know if it's like morale or just his motivation, but it doesn't seem he's been playing well.
To be honest with you, Johnny, I think he's looking for too much time all the time. The point that Stan made about the misplaced passes, that's happened in about 6 or 7 games that I've watched this year, where the basics seem to have gone out the window, where they're trying to pass across the back four, but they're putting a ball, like, where at speed sometimes. Well, they're hitting the balls too hard sometimes as well. And literally they're having to kind of adjust to then start an attack. And then when we do that, we've lost all momentum because they're having to adjust to a really bad ball. Those defenders really need to work on kind of like basics again, putting a ball just in front of Halliday so he can run onto it. But instead, you watch in some of the games, they've put the ball behind players. So then the defence is having to adjust. And that's unforgivable, really, for professional footballers. You expect them to be able to kind of put a decent pass forward and put the ball in front of the players so that they can run onto these things. Because we always seem to lose momentum, and then we go back to basics of putting it backwards and then playing it across the back four forever and a day again and again. So, like I said, I think tomorrow he's got a prime opportunity to raise some confidence in those centre halves and literally get a partnership going with them again and push forward, because I think that's what these games should be used for, especially when he's in his planning phase at the moment. But we'll see.
Do you think he'll play Andy Cook tomorrow, or do you think he's going to rest him?
I think he'll rest him tomorrow. And to be honest with you, I don't know about anybody else, but I think he needs some time out the firing line, to be honest with you. I mean, some of the chances that he kind of squandered on the weekend, he would have buried those last season. So the lad is obviously struggling with various different things.
It's confidence, isn't it, Steve, that Cook's lacking at the moment. And
yeah, I think that Andy Cook is one of the most dangerous strikers in the air in our league. He's got so much power, but a couple of the shots a couple of headers that he positioned himself for last game, it was like a shadow of himself, because he would bully defenders out of the way to get to that ball. And I've seen a few times in the last sort of like 5 games, Sutton particularly was but I was stood right behind the goal, and he literally was getting bullied by their defenders. Now, that never happened to Andy Cook last season at all. And I just think that he needs he just needs to collect himself a little bit, and maybe I think tomorrow might be a good night off for him. Just let somebody else have the pressure and let them have a go, because I think he'll be better for it.
Who else would you play though? Like, I know you could just say Smith, but then that's
$1 million question, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think you could play Chapman.
Personally, it's got to be Derbyshire, because why he ain't getting a game is a bit beyond me, to be honest. I know people want to bring up his age all the time, but when he's played, has he done shocking? I don't think he's a pretty reliable striker. It's just because he's 37, people have just got an issue with it, and I don't really get it.
Have you got something to say, Diane, love?
I have about Andy Cook, like they were saying, if we rest him, don't forget last season when he got rested, he came back better. He seemed refreshed when he got dropped for them last few matches over Christmas. I think he came back better.
He almost like he gets his hunger back, Diane.
Yeah, definitely. You can tell the difference in it.
It's like there's a point to prove as well, isn't it? He's kind of like, any away fans giving him grief motivates him, and like anyone, being dropped for a few games seems to motivate him as well. Is that kind of that was what Hughes was really good at in terms of managing Andy Cook.
Well, he was a striker who knew that pressure, didn't he? Though,
yeah.
With Andy Cook, though, like at the Notts County game, where I was stood up next to Callie all game, and at the end of the game, obviously some fans a bit further down were giving Andy Cook jip. Police got involved, but I think Smallwood did. I think it was Smallwood who was captain, who did stopped him losing his shit. And told him to walk away, because Andy Cook looked like he was going to go off the rail. I don't know if anyone else saw that.
Yeah, I was coming down the aisle, and it was almost like what was said to him. And the thing is, the thing that's really egregious for me from the idiots that kind of did that was one of them. He's got his arms raised, like when people kind of. It's almost like a really aggressive gesture, or you kind of like when you're giving it large to somebody. and it was kind of you can absolutely criticise a player without getting personal, without being abusive. You can say you set your standards high. You've not done as well. You're a better player than that, etc. But like it looked really unpleasant, and this is the thing with what's happened this season from the fans on the terraces. It's obviously a minority, he's clearly a minority, but it's like it's just this kind of really unpleasantness, and I mean that sort of a real kind of. It's just there's no need for it, End of the day, Cook wants to score goals. He wants to play well, and I don't think there's anybody that, unless they're not running, that doesn't want to do anything. Cook is like really low in confidence. You saw that in the Stockport game, that he was almost like beating himself up. Yeah, he could have got a hat trick that game. Misses a penalty. You could see it in it. You can see it. He's that sort of player, isn't he? He's kind of like he sort of. So he needs like a chance or a fluky goal to just get him back on track, and we hope that was at Newport. But it sort of, there were obviously the team was kind of like there was very much a cloud hanging over the team, so it probably didn't help. But it was really, really unpleasant, and end of the day, these idiots, it's like to berate a player for like missing chances. I mean, that's ridiculous. If a player's not put any effort in, you can tell him you're lazy shit or whatever. But to kind of come at Cook for that is really unnecessary and unpleasant.
That second time, that is 2 matches in a row that fans have had to go at players, because don't forget last Saturday they had to go at Ozadabe in the Cup, and he came over and Gilly had pulled him away.
It's got to stop that, though, isn't it? It's not exactly kind of enthralling them to put on a shirt and come out fighting and giving everything for 90 minutes, is it, for the club?
No.
Especially when you see fans, abusing people like that. I mean, going just back to Cook, I've seen some of the kind of like training videos, etc. The Cook that we saw last season, where he was laughing and joking, is gone. He looks so serious when he's basically on the fit. He doesn't look happy. Even when he's arriving at the ground on like inside match day, whereas he before he was, laughing and joking and things like that, he just looks a shadow of himself. And what some of the minority of fans need to realise is that when you've got confidence players like that, it's not just about the confidence of scoring goals. It's about how he's perceived as a player by his own fans, because it will have an effect on him. It can't not do. He's only human, isn't he?
Because Chris Nail has just tweeted us, Cook is 100% confidence player. He currently has none.
Yeah, I mean, you can't disagree with that, can you? It's kind of... and I'll say one thing as well that's been very much a thing. And if you remember the games last season where Tranmere away was probably one of the first ones, but you could just sense the atmosphere in the ground in a good way. Like, when you're going into the, you get your pie and whatever you're getting before the game, and your cup of Bovril or whatever, and there was a really good atmosphere, and that transferred onto the players. And this is what I can't get in terms of like, I mean, it's a free country. You're allowed to sort of shout and this, that, and the other, and be unhappy. But how many games like Donny away and all the away games we had where basically the fans carried the team over the line in some games, or just basically the players fed off that, and conversely they feed off the negative, not the negativity, but the nastiness in the crowd, and it's like people don't realise that. It's kind of like if somebody's getting behind you, I know there's got to be something that's got to come from within the game, but if you can kind of sense it before. Morecambe away this season and Crawley are the worst two examples for me. There was a real kind of underbelly at the Morecambe game, where people are like offering each other, saying they're going to, when they see them in town, spitting on each other and stuff. And it's like, come on, guys, you're adults. You're doing this in front of your kids. It's like, at the end of the day, okay, you've paid money and stuff like that, but it's not the most important thing in the world. And to kind of get to that level of vitriol is just you know, just have a word with yourself and just think, look, you know, just it's not nice, and to expect the players then to kind of perform when basically not that it's the abuse they're getting that I can't agree with, you know.
Yeah,
100% criticise the performance and stuff like that, but abuse, no, it's kind of crosses a line.
it's like with what you're saying there, Stan. Like, I've been to games with Callie and a couple of other mates, and we've gone to game and we've been, we're gonna smash these. Like Tranmere, we're gonna get excited, we're gonna beat these, and then the fun is going. And if there's not a part, like you're saying there, party atmosphere in the stands, I think it's because we're not up there. I know we're currently 19th in league, but fans seem to be getting pissed off, and the stuff they're saying is bang out of order. Like what they do with Andy Cook, Ossie Davis, bang out of order. But the club is I think it's in a dark place at the minute, and wins will obviously climb up the table, bring the party atmosphere back. It's like, I remember I was speaking to someone the other day about it. Like, they come out to Midland Road. It gets people clapping, doesn't it? But what game were it where, I'll just have to find it. If there was a game where they came out to a right tune and the right part of the atmosphere. Right away. I think it might have been Sutton or something like that. But Sutton actually came out to a good... Oh, no, Notts County, actually, the other day. Came out to a good song. And it gets, like, the fans motivated. But we come out to Midland Road. It's not a very good song, is it, to come out to? I know it's like Midland Road.
Do you know what, Johnny, as well? They don't seem to play the Midland Road song at the right time. I think that's a lot to do with it.
Also, it doesn't help with the fact that it sounds like a song for a promo video for the Scottish Tourist Board. I think. Do you know, Johnny? You kind of used a phrase there, which I think really sums it up. And apologies for everyone that's heard me say this over and over again, but I think the club has been in a dark place since the Carlisle result, and I think in a dark place pretty much sums it up. And I get the disappointment. You know, I mean, it was an awful game to watch because when there's so much riding on a result, sport is the worst experience when it's your team. But we need to, and hopefully, you know, sort of like, I mean, it's really up to, I guess, Alexander to kind of find a formula to lift that sort of cloud a little bit, because in the short term, that's going to be the only way that the sort of mood is going to be lifted. Obviously, the off-field stuff, which I don't personally, anyway, I don't want to talk about tonight because it's been kind of said and you know and that stuff, and there'll be things that are happening that we don't know about. So, you know, in that context, but in terms of the football, yeah, I think. And I hope to God that Alexander does find the formula to kind of lift this cloud that's hanging over, you know, Valley Parade at the moment. But yeah,
it's like coming back. It's like when me and Callie come back from games, when I pick her up and bring her back from games and stuff, miserable in car because we've lost. But it's opposite when you win games. It's like the winning factor needs to come back to Bradford City. Like in past, like what season did we get to League Cup final but go up? Like 2000 and...
It was 12-13, wasn't it?
12-13. Like, pie atmosphere there and stuff. We need things like, I know I've just said dark days and stuff, but we need to bring a bit of sunlight back into this team.
I think, I mean, I agree, Jenny. I think it's a case of, like, it's not so much winning, because we've all been on games, away days or whatever, where they've lost. I guess it's the manner of the defeat which kind of sets the mood on the way back. You know, you think, well, you want to go to an away game that at least they've been in a shout with actually getting something out of the game, and it might be individual decisions, players making a wrong decision or whatever it is, that's fine. But yeah, it's kind of, I really do hope, and I hope that, I'm sure people here listening tonight want the same thing, that the cloud is lifted up over the club, and at least on the field, that there is something that basically starts to turn around in terms of like just seeing something where you kind of think, once the players start enjoying the football, that will transmit into results, and hopefully that will also transmit into the terraces, because I think obviously they both feed off each other. But I don't know the answer short of like suddenly winning, the next 10 games kind of thing. But you don't want it to be fragile, that a couple of bad results kind of and things start to turn. But I think it is down to us really as fans to kind of to create the atmosphere we want to create.
Yeah.
And yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say in that sort of specific context.
So I know I'm going back again, but we are live. I've just seen some interesting statement from Markham AFC. Our former manager, Derek Adams, has left to join a different team.
He's going back to Ross County, Johnny, I think, is what's rumoured.
Yeah, he looks like he's joined a dude. Yeah, not Ross County.
He has joined. There's pictures of him on Twitter.
Yeah. Glad he's buggered off somewhere else. Right. Is anyone else have got anything they want to say?
So, does anyone who was on the space last night just want to talk about like team matters that hasn't maybe spoken to this evening? Please come in and have a say. Hopefully, we've left some room in the topics, or at least even if we've mentioned something, give us your views. All views are welcome.
Yep. If anyone else, like we've got Chris, if you want to join in, or anyone else wants to join in, feel free. We're going to keep it going for another 10 minutes or so.
Can I just say something about fans?
Go for it, Graham.
I've had Barnsley have had the same problem with fans getting players abuse. And when we got relegated from Championship a couple of years ago, we had a player called Corley Woodrow, and he got a lot of abuse, but yeah, he was still getting goals. And one day he lost it, confronted fans, and then he just couldn't take it. And I asked his missus if he were all right, and his missus said he's okay, but it's mental health. Sometimes it affects him. Some of these fans what get him abused don't realise it affects them in the long run. And like when there's shouting, abuse and off and getting them go, and then like swearing at crowd, like one of you mentioned, like saying, "Oh, I'll see you when." Right back and all that. They don't realise fans get scared and think, I don't want to go anymore. And players will think, this I can't take it, and and it's just not on anymore. And it affects them badly, like players. And when Corley Woodrow got abused, it just affected him, and he struggled after a while. But some fans don't realise that, which I think there should be tougher punishments for it.
I 100% agree with you, Graham. And I think when I was a few seasons ago, I was sat at the table in the McCall suite, and Nicky Law's girlfriend was there, and she was talking to me about, she felt isolated because obviously, human dynamics, etc., that some of the other, wives and girlfriends, etc., were maybe closer to each other because maybe they live more locally. But she was telling me about, she found it lonely because obviously played up in Scotland. She was a young Scottish girl. She came down, lived, I think, somewhere around Sheffield, and didn't have any friends, was alone, and then obviously was having to do the school run, etc. And if you think of that, and that player goes home to that wife or girlfriend, and the girlfriend is kind of like saying this to him, and that's on his mind because he's a human being just like the rest of us. And you're 100% right. Shouting abuse at players is just, just remember, sort of like they're just kicking a ball about, and they're exactly the same as you and me. They're just better at football than we are, and yeah, and people. I don't think people realise the effect they're having. I mean, I would like to think that on this space that nobody's done that or doing that, but passions do run high. But it's like, yeah, just remember that's some young kid, that's some bloke who's got, his missus is upset, or his missus is not, his missus is feeling a bit down or whatever, and he's going to work and he's like, yeah, he's having a great time, but on the back of his mind, he's thinking, better get home, because I don't want to leave the missus on her own or whatever. That's just an example, but they are human beings, and sort of, I think anyone that's critical of like whether they play well, whether they're good enough, that's fine. You can do that, but do that in a responsible manner. And I think nobody can have any complaints with that.
Have you got any thoughts, Chris? We'll go Chris, then Jamie.
Yeah, no, thank you. Just on that with the players, I think over the years we've just attracted the wrong kind of player that just can't deal with the pressure of 15 to 20,000 fans to play in front of. I just look at the current squad now, and it's just so bad. Even over, back to Parkinson years, or there's just not an ounce of grit or fight or camaraderie, or it's so frustrating. I mean, I live up in Scotland, so I'm unfortunately a regular follower watcher, which that's another story of disaster. But yeah, it's just I just don't see any light at the minute. Good thing is, I think Alexander coming in, he speaks so well. I think he's the best of the bunch we could have attracted, to be honest. He comes across in the media absolutely spot on. So hopefully he can unify at least some of the fans and sort of move forward and bring in his own stamp.
I would say to that, Chris, with regards to players not being able to handle that sort of thing, what you have to remember is these are players playing in League Two, and as a League Two club, we're a bit of an anomaly, aren't we? Because
100%.
So players higher up the leagues are probably used to playing in front of bigger crowds. So it's kind of, yeah, it's sort
a total double-edged sword. Like, yes. It attracts, you think people are on the way up. Devante Cole, look at that, perfect example. We're all singing his praises, thinking, wow, this is great. Andy Cole's lad, going to be amazing. Absolutely did nothing for us, did he? Did he get the opportunities? Probably not.
I think he did. I think his attitude stank.
Yeah. That's it. It's just, now 2 years down the line, he's not banging him in for fun, but he's doing all right. It's a double-edged sword. This following that we've got. Man, I've been at Bradford for 30 years and seen all sorts of different things come and go, but I think at the moment now it's as dark as the Peter Taylor days in terms of the way the fans are. It's I'm not against this protest. I'm not like pro let's throw balls at everybody. Obviously, it takes some throw from central Scotland from here to get to Midland Road, but it's a few wins, things will change. Obviously, Kevin McDonald, I think he did a bit of a sterling job, to be honest. That bounce back that came from him taking over was good and quite positive. Obviously, a couple of dodgy results in there, but the team's full of dodgy results. Just the way things are, the mentalities. There's obviously 2 or 3 things that ain't right down there, which it's sad to see from a distance.
Okay, Jamie, have you got any thoughts on it, bud? Or have you got anything Bradford City related you want to say about?
Yeah, I think for me, what I've noticed, and it's been the last couple of seasons, our fans. I don't like to diss the fans because we spend a lot of money. We follow them all over the country, but the relationship between the fans and the players just seems to be quite toxic of an atmosphere. Like, even if you look back to the last few years when we've had players that have left the club, and the players that have left the club have kind of not had the relationship with the fans when they've left, and a lot of players have come out and said bad things about the club after they've left. But if you look back to the year when we got to the League Cup final, when we beat Chelsea, things like that, those players have actually kept in touch with the club. They felt loved by the Bradford fans, but at the moment, and it's possibly because we've had big turnarounds of players, but I don't think the players feel that love anymore, and the fans can be the extra man. At times when we've really struggled in the past, the fans have pulled the players across the pitch, and we've actually been that extra man there. And in terms of what people say about playing in front of 17,000 fans, some players are not up to it. I do agree with that. But at the same time, why do opposition teams seem to up their game when they're playing against 17,000 fans? Why are we getting on the back of our players? It should be a fortress. Let's get on the back of the opposition players. Let's encourage our lads. I'm certainly not a happy clapper, which I've been accused of in the past, but if we make a mistake, if we let a goal in, don't just turn around and say, "Oh, not again." Encourage them, clap at them, cheer them on, because if their heads have gone down, it's our job as fans to pick those heads back up again. And I think we just need to, as fans, we just need to really get on with that. Yes, there's lots of things happening in the background, which I'm not going to talk about. Yes, we'd all like lots of changes, but for 90 minutes, no matter what's going on that pitch, we should be there encouraging them, because they're not going to turn things around if they've got 17,000 people on their back. And that's just my opinion.
No,
that is fantastic, Jamie, because watching the Matter of Heart DVD online and also on YouTube, I remember times where we would concede and the whole ground would come and cheer them on, to roar them on to get goals. The fans need to be the 12th person, I reckon, to get the team scoring.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that, and that's what being a football fan is.
Jamie,
you don't just support them on the good days; you support them on the good days and the bad days.
I agree with pretty much what you said there. What I would say is that I don't think it's the size of the crowd. I think it's the nature of the crowd, because we had 22,000 against Orient at home last season. We had some really high big crowds at the end of last season, and because the fans were, as you said, encouraging, it made that size of the crowd didn't matter. It was basically the mood of the crowd.
No, definitely, and I totally agree with that. And in my opinion, if you're always encouraging the players, no matter how many fans are there, the more the better. If you've got 17,000 fans and they're encouraging you and they're pushing you forward, then that's got to give you that extra 10% that you need on the pitch.
It's like, I know in the past, I think myself and especially Callie, she's mentioned about Gary Jones. and Gary Jones was like the leader, the captain. He dominated the pitch. Do you think? I know we can't do it, but like have 12 Gary Joneses who actually show fight and stuff like that and passion, and like scoring goals, celebrating with the fans, just like the good old days. I know it's like going back to Stuart McCall, but for third time, but like passion and just passion on the pitch. Do you think they need someone to motivate them and kick them up the derriere to play better?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, the fans need to be motivated by the players, and the players need to be motivated by the fans. So last year, Harry Lewis, every game, the fans absolutely loved him because you could tell he had that passion there. For whatever reason, he's struggling this season, and I think obviously in the summer he said himself, his mum even said he struggled mentally, and he had a kind of a mini blowout week, which he said himself. And I think his head's kind of gone down a little bit. But last season, every game, he got the fans going at the start of the game. But I think he now knows if he makes one mistake, he's got, and I would say a minority of fans, one mistake, and they're on his back. Even if it's in the second minute of the game, they're on his back. And where's the encouragement there?
I think with the fans, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, and I've probably gone over, like, repeating myself, but we're currently 19th in the league, and fans are slowly starting to turn. It started at Tranmere with, obviously, like, Cookie came over, people clapped. Then Husey came over, you're getting sacked at morning, it got a bit toxic. But slowly I'm thinking the toxicness is getting bigger in the team, and the fans are just pissed off with everything what's generally happening on at the club.
I think, sorry to jump in there, but like with Mark Hughes, like he was just so cocksure, confident of himself with every interview. See if he was just humble and said, you know, like this weekend where I said, look, I've got it wrong. Hands up, I've got it wrong. I think it's just started this big wheel turning that at the minute the club can't do anything right. It's just so negative that you know we could win 10-0 tomorrow and there'd be a problem about pucker pies. Do you know what I mean? Or anything.
I think, Chris, on that though, he was the same Mark Hughes that he was last season, and you know there wasn't that kind of atmosphere about the place.
Yeah. I think because we liked him last year because we were winning. You know.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like, I think. I mean, there's been a massive shift in the mood since the summer, you know, and I've said it a million times now, so I won't go over it again. But kind of, So now we've got to just, the fans have got to find a way as well to kind of. I know a lot of them don't feel like they can, because they probably feel they don't have any control, or you know, their sort of the main passion is going wrong, etc. But as fans, we've got to find a way of kind of putting it behind us, because otherwise it's kind of like, well, you know, where do we go? It's like if at every turn the player makes a mistake, the fans are going to get on their back, then they're not going to get out of this situation. So I think the team, and I'm sure they do, the manager realise that where we're at as in league position, but also the fans have got to realise that as good as the fans were last season and the role that they had to play, they've got to somehow reprise that role and find a way themselves to basically, you know, back the team. The second half, the fans were great, you know, on Saturday. And I know, the team were very, very poor in the first half.
But they were night and day. I mean, obviously, I think Notts County maybe switched off a little bit in the second half, but Yeah, you could see that obviously the halftime talk had worked. Like I say, I think Graham is going to be good. I think he'll be good for us. I do. But going back to even the interview stage where there's just nothing coming out from the club about what's going on. Even now, like people are hearing that Rupp's not spoken to him yet. It's just bonkers. I mean, you just wouldn't run any company like that, whether it's a bloody sandwich shop or a multi-million-pound printing company or anything in between. You bring in anybody in of any position that the owners aren't involved in. It's crackers. But I'm all for positive thoughts, and let's hope that we're going to turn a corner. January will be interesting, that's for sure.
I think so. I would say as well. I think as fans, and please anyone shoot me down if you disagree with me, but I think what we've also got to not do is jump on any kind of little bit of information like that about Rupp not having spoken to him, because if Alexander's not bothered by that, then what difference does it make? If he is bothered by that, then that's, but we don't know that. And it might be a case, as Alexander himself said, well, in a 2 or 3 games, he'll have a better idea of where he's at, then he's likely to speak to him. So we're allowing ourselves to be wound up by every little bit of news, and we're not kind of zooming out a little bit and just kind of let.
There's just been so much negativity for I don't know, this season or since the sort of playoff loss. It's been hard for anybody, but that's my thoughts on it anyway. That it's hard to see. Bobby Poynton's probably been a shining light. That it's been a little bit of a story that we've got a local lad in there that's kind of kept us on off our seats, stood up watching him play. But yeah, there's a handful of players in that squad, never mind the first team, that they are holding it together. They're dragging us through the line. Lewis, I think, was exceptional. I think he's been overworked, to be honest, and back to recruitment side of it, like how he's never, had somebody to challenge him. Obviously, Doyley's fantastic. He's just a cheap option. It's a squad seat and it's a coach. But he must be absolutely mentally fatigued. And I think that's what's showing us now,
So I'm going to start winding up, guys and girls. So I'm going to ask everybody 2 questions. First of all, the important question, what's the score going to be tomorrow? And second question is, where are we going to finish this season? So I'm going to start with Stan, who likes to sit on the fence, and then we'll work our way back.
No comment.
There's always one. Diane?
I think we're going to win 3-0 tomorrow night, and I think we could do playoffs.
Ooh. Steve?
I'm going to go 2-1 to Bradford tomorrow, and I've got 10th in my head for some reason. I think we've dropped too many points, but I'm hopefully proved wrong. And just while I've got the mic as well, if anybody follows Tom Almost No Pit, he's released a bit of a tweet, which is allegedly the security team at Bradford, the stewards, who have been asked to basically kind of search people effectively for tennis balls.
What's the name?
Yeah,
sorry.
seen that.
It's Tom it's at Almost No Pit.
Is it under the BFC hashtag or is it? Yeah, I've seen him. Tom, here we go. If I urge you, no. When did he send it, bud? Here we go. Found it. Retweet that. Subject: increase security measures regarding tennis balls due to protest. Dear security team, I hope this message finds you well. We are writing to inform you about specific concern that has arisen regarding a potential protest within the vicinity of Bradford City premises. In the light of this, we would like to request immediate enhanced security protocol can't even pronounce that word, in area of searching for tennis balls during routine security checks, ill intelligence, what's this, MI5, that protesters may attempt to use the tennis balls to convene messages or cause disturbing during the event. To address the potential threat, we asked the security team to, especially through inspection personal belongings for tennis balls. Additionally, please ensure that all staff are briefed on the matter to maintain undefeated and effective response. We understand that the importance of balanced security measures with the comfort and safety of our visitors. Your diligence, I can't even pronounce that word, to maintain and security. Yep, so I've just retweeted that out. So, Graham, the Barnsley fan, I'm going to give you a bit of a tricky question for you. So, what's the score tomorrow, and where do you think you guys will finish?
I think tomorrow I'm going to go for 2-2. And for positions, after the last 2 weeks, I think between 3rd and 10th, that I can't really call it because I don't know if you never know, we could pick up form or not. But I said between 3rd and 10th.
Jamie?
Yep, I think tomorrow, Barnsley, from what I've heard, are probably going to be playing some of their young lads. So I reckon tomorrow, 2-1 City tomorrow. And where we're going to finish, I actually do think we've got the players that if we're going a good run, we can be that team that makes the playoffs at last minute. So I'm actually going to go for playoffs.
Okay. Miss Callie, who's currently shelf stacking somewhere in a location.
I do not shelf stack, Johnny.
I know you do.
This.
I like winding you up.
I'm going for a 2-1 win tomorrow. Oh, here we go. She needed to say something before we ended, didn't she?
Yep, always chasing that dog.
She's telling you what she thinks.
Yeah.
It's Dog's prediction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's dog's dinner, that's where we finish. Dog's dinner.
Yeah. Do you remember Doggy Day? Can I just say, do you remember Doggy Daycare? That was hilarious. Anyway, that's
I'll tweet that out at some point, Callie.
Yeah.
Callie,
sorry. So 2-1 to Bradford, and I think I'm going to be positive. I've supported them long enough to know we can bounce back, and I think we're going to end up in 6th place.
And Callie, what's today's podcast sponsored by?
Doggy Daycare.
Yes. Burton away, if anyone remembers that.
Burton away cup. It didn't matter whether we won or lost or Drew did it, and it was just hilarious game.
Were you drunk? Were you tipsy when you came out of that?
I was very, yes, yeah.
And last but not least, Chris.
I'll go with 2-1 tomorrow to us, and I think we'll probably finish 12th or 13th, to be honest.
Okay. And my prediction, I think we're going to win 2-0 and we're going to finish, I'm going to go 15th. And there you go. And on that note, push that button. Could say thank you for everybody for joining today, and thanks for Radio Leeds for letting me come on. If you like what you're listening to, you can get us on Bradford City Up the Chickens on Facebook. Also, you can get us on Bradford City Up the Chickens on all podcast services. We're going global now. We're getting big in Great Britain, India, Switzerland, Portugal, Brazil. And also YouTube, Brace Odds 1. Wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.